身に至らぬもの、身にかけぬこと。18番目の美味しい、Dokkodo. Miyamoto Musashi. I will elaborate this precept. Admittedly, I had a many great deal of issues with this precept. In my search for answers, I delved many tomes, scrolls, densho, opinions of various practitioners of the way, and came to a deep realization. This isn't talking about material things, at least not in the Western sense. This is a matter of the way. The literal translation of the original script was overseen by New Zealand professor Alexander Bennett and reinterpreted as, quote, "Do not seek to possess either goods or fiefs for your old age." The way he arrived at this conclusion seems to have a great deal to do with the political environment from which he came, the context through which he adopted the Budo, and the sentiment at the time of Eastern and Western cultural modalities at play. In short, a first industrial Western capitalistic orientation. Having been ignorant of the original translation, I was left bewildered. I couldn't understand why this spirit seemed to interrupt the flow of both the Gorin no Sho and virtually all other previous precepts within the Dokkodo. The answer was in a very obvious and simple undertone which has served as a theme for this entire time. It was reinforcing a point made in the Gorin no Sho, the book for which this appendix, the Dokkodo, was intended to be a companion for. Miyamoto Musashi said, quote, "To know one way is to know 10,000, end quote. In understanding the way broadly, it can apply to the many myriad things under heaven. This should sound familiar. It was touched upon in a previous precept. What is being described is the Tao of existence, the nothing from which something manifested, Mu. To become the one, Ichi, which became the myriad 10,000 things, Ban. From those 10,000 things, they can be returned to the one, and from that one, nothingness is once again realized. This is the path with no name, the nameless way, or the way, Michi. This stands in the shadow of minimalism and ikigai, extending beyond simple resourcefulness. The idea is that one focuses less on what one doesn't have and more so on the abundance of what all the 10,000 things under heaven can become, at least should one be of proper mind to utilize it. To enforce this point, we will use an example from Miyamoto Musashi's life. At the height of his dueling years, around age of 30, Miyamoto Musashi faced what is likely his most popular and skilled opponent, Sasaki Kojiro. He is known for his skill with the great katana known as the Nodachi, affectionately nicknamed Monoho Shizao, or the clothes-drying pole. There were many threads of speculation as to how Miyamoto Musashi ended up less than an hour before the duel without katana or wakizashi, but that ended up being the case. In turn, just before landing at the island where the duel was to take place, he fashioned from a boat oar a wooden sword. Sasaki Kojiro would go on to be defeated in a single strike by Musashi, and the rest is history. At the time, he did not concern himself with not having, quote, proper armaments, end quote, nor did he concern himself with things that had nothing to do outside of the immediate situation. He addressed only that which mattered at the moment, his understanding of the long sword, and a medium through which to express it. Sorekiri da. If you understand the way within oneself, realizing the way in all things becomes that much easier. Operating at a higher modality of being, the material becomes less of a focus, and the energy which animates them becomes your new abundance. In other words, for the one who walks alone, Things that do not reach the body do not concern the body. Os.